video. There's a lot of things that have happened. There's a lot of things that are going on right now. And yes, the future of the AquariumDomain fish basement is changing. Big changes. So let's see where to start. First of all, before I get into any of that, a couple videos back, I lost a few fish that were near and dear to my heart that I'd raised for a long time. And as always, I've said this before, but my God, I have awesome people who watch this channel. There's a lot of good fish keepers and there's a lot of good people. And I want to thank you for all the kind words you guys gave me. And as always, all the insightful comments too. A lot of people brought up a lot of good points, and those things are useful and valuable, and they help me be a better fish keeper. And I've said it before, my favorite part of YouTube is engagement with the quality people that I've engaged with. There's people I've met and become friends. There's a lot of people I chat with online that we share a lot of things back and forth, and I love it, and so I thank you for that. Okay, that said, let's get into the video. So there was a side project that I had to take care of for the missus upstairs so that I can have the AquariumDomain fish basement. It's done, and it took a lot less time than I thought, so that's awesome. It's not gonna push the build on the Predator Bay 3000 out like I thought it was. Really only 1 week, not 3 weeks. I've made huge progress on the double 1,200 gallon builds. Huge progress. I went crazy one night, but I'll show you that. We know we had some loss in the fish room. Well, we've had some birth in the fish room. I'm going to show you some future new additions. There's been breeding activity. And when I say breeding activity, I mean from the big boys. But I'll show you that. And of course, I'm going to walk you through the changes that are going to happen to the AquariumDomain fish basement and explain why. Because it's one of those things where it's not just something where I'm like, oh, let's just do this, let's do that. I'm making structural changes to the fish basement because of the reality of keeping large, healthy fish that grow to maturity and are very happy because they do things like they breed, or certain fish become so much more dominant than other fish that you have to do something about that, right? So I'm going to structurally change the fish basement to accommodate those issues. All right, let's go. So coming out into the koi pond room to check on the blue iris, which hasn't been growing, and I took a closer look. It looks like something's been chewing on the leaves. Who could be doing that? So actually, my assistant, the guilty one, was doing that when the plant was down here. So I moved it up here to get it out of her way, get away from her, and I noticed we have new growth here, so on all the plants. So blue iris is growing out, and once it gets big, we're going to propagate it to these plants and then in the sunken pots that are down there in the koi pond as well. So where we left off on the last video is we had just basically finished the floor of the second 1,200 gallon aquarium, and we're just sort of laying out the boards. You see we have the first one over here. So what we've done is we've anchored in the first layer of boards, and you can see this side we have the aquarium, and over here we have the wetland filter. And when I say anchor versus screwed, it's excessive amounts of screws, big screws as well, 4 inches. And the reason that's important is because this is truly the anchor that's connecting into the framing that's underneath the 1 inches of the floor. So we want to go crazy on this, and you know, the rule of thumb, how many does it take? I don't know. I'm going to use twice as many, and it's going to cost me an extra $3. So peace of mind, we've got the bottom boards anchored down. So now what we're going to do is we are going to overlap all of our corners as we do 3 more runs. So we're going to have this be 3 levels high before we start building up framing. So I can show you over here on the other tank. You can see where we have 3 layers of boards before we start doing the framing up like that. And then we do the same thing at the top with overlapping 3 layers, which allows us to tie in all of these corners. So where this one is like this one goes over, so on and so forth, and we're all tied together. And as well as, if you recall, we're doing the wetland a little different. We're doing stacked for the wetland because we don't have a ton of space to work in there, and it's going to get pretty tall. So I'm going to be doing fiberglassing in chunks, in stages I should say. So the same thing over here with this one. And of course we've got the sleeve for the pole, so we have both poles accounted for now. So this one will actually be fiberglassing and painting, and this pole over here I'll be building a sleeve, but the sleeve will be anchored into the pole, and the sleeve will just be fiberglass and painted just like the walls of the tank. So we're going to overlap all of the boards that are laid down as the anchors, and we're going to do 3 rows of that, and then we will start building up. All right, why are we looking at the ceiling? Well, this is the new work I did for the upstairs project, the one that allows me to have the AquariumDomain fish basement, and I thought it was going to be more over here on top of Predator Bay 3000. It was going to set me back a little bit, but since it's way over here, it's out of the way, and it's actually done because it was a lot easier. All I had to do was run the water lines all the way out here, and the drains were in the perfect spot. I didn't have to do modifications to the floor joists like I thought I might have to, and I'm not impacting anything going on with Predator Bay 3000, so yeah, that wasn't nearly as bad as I thought. And let's run upstairs and I'll show you what is that thing for. I was just passing by the 220 and I was thinking, you know what, the filter is looking beautiful with all the plants. And happy to say the sediment filter has been working awesome, keeping it nice and clear water down here, and keeping all that sediment in a easy to get to place for me to pump out. I love settlement chambers. And while we're here, we might as well take a look at the Discus. This aquarium has officially reached cruise control mode. It's just pure enjoyment. It's very well balanced. You remember it wasn't that long ago. I mean, it's been a while now, but we're talking months. You know, there was the hair algae. I've done nothing. It's balanced out. Well, I mean, I've done things, but I haven't been cleaning out hair algae is what I should say. The combination of the plants, the filtration, and the fish, well, they are doing the job. We have a relatively balanced aquarium, and it is nothing but, like I said, pure enjoyment. Okay, so what was that side project? Well, it was building a closet upstairs in the master bedroom to house a combo washer-dryer unit to prevent the missus from having to walk the entire length of the AquariumDomain fish basement into a laundry room that I may have built 2 giant aquariums inside of. So this has made life a lot better for everybody. So let's catch up on bamboo sharks in Predator Bay. So a lot of you guys know these guys have been breeding a lot lately. Now they've reached mature size, and well, it wasn't for naught. So yeah, that breeding activity wasn't for nothing. You can see that we now have a shark egg. Well, we have 2 shark eggs. Well, 3 shark eggs. Yeah, 4 shark eggs. So we do have 4 shark eggs now. So yeah, they got to it and they were efficient. We now have a nursery here inside of Predator Bay 2000 where we've got the eggs sort of sectioned off from those guys. We have lots of water flow coming through here. So this actually happened on April 28th that the eggs were laid. So I was doing a little bit of math, and it's going to basically be between 14 to 18 weeks before these would be hatching. So roughly it'll be the end of August, beginning of September. So I have a little bit of time, but I need to make some structural changes to the fish basement because I can't have big aggressive 4.5 foot long sharks with groupers, because you can see the groupers are hiding all the time now because they're not getting along. After 4 years, they don't get along anymore now that the sharks are big and aggressive. And I can't have baby sharks in here with these guys or with the groupers. That's not going to work. And the reality of it is as much as I'd love to just have giant display systems where everything works perfectly all the time, it's not possible. So I'm going to revert some of the changes I was going to do to the fish basement, i.e. the 1,500 gallon system behind me. I was going to convert it to freshwater. Well, I'm not going to do that anymore. It's going to stay saltwater because if I want to have certain groupers, certain sharks, certain triggers, I'm going to have separate environments. You know, I can't just say I've got Predator Bay 3000, it's a huge tank, I'll make everything work. I'll get the eels to work with the sharks, to work with the groupers, to work with the triggers. It just doesn't work. It's not realistic. So the saltwater part of the AquariumDomain fish basement is going to be expanding greatly because we're still going Predator Bay 3000 saltwater. The current Predator Bay 2000 is going to be switching to the lagoon, staying saltwater. The 1,500 gallon system, the 2 tanks, the 600 reef slope on the back, the 700 gallon refugium, and the 265 in wall, staying saltwater. And And there's also going to be a change behind Predator Bay 3000. So all of this storage that I have over here on the left-hand side, as well as the tubs down here with the wood, all this is being cleaned out and it's going to go out into my storage shed. The only thing staying inside is food and medicine, but it'll be somewhere else. And I'm going to be building a 36-foot long marine system along this wall. So it is going to tie into the filtration for Predator Bay 3000 on this side. So it's going to, some of the water will go from Predator Bay 3000 to the new system. It'll go 33, 35, 36 feet down to the end, and it'll return back and feed into Predator Bay 3000 as well. It's going to have a deeper section over here, and it's going to have a more of a mangrove estuary over there, and it's going to help me accommodate baby marine fish, grow outs, specific fish I just want to keep. They can't go with anybody else. It's just going to give me more flexibility with the system. Okay, so the progress on the double 1,200 gallons is getting ready to speed up quite a bit. Focusing on these guys right now full time. You can see on the first one, we've got the first sheet of 3/4 inch plywood back there. It's ready for the rest of the plywood, but I'm just waiting because I want to catch up the other one, the other 1,200 gallon. So I'm going to get this one framed up next so that I can get all the plywood at one time, cut it all at one time, and install it all at one time. Because then after that, there's going to be fiberglassing to do, because we have to work on these wetland filters in stages. So we build them up as high as I can make them to where I feel comfortable getting in there and fiberglassing. So a little more than what we got here. You know, who knows, maybe we can do it in halves, something like that. We have that to go, as well as building up this inside wall before we can put the last piece of plywood in here. But on this one here is obviously behind, so we're going to focus on the left side 1,200 gallon build. So I have the foundation down. You can see we've got the base. So now it's time to build up all the walls and build up the wetland filter, again, halfway or whatever it is, however far I go to where I feel comfortable reaching down in here and doing fiberglass work. So we're going to catch this up with that 1,200 over there, and yeah, then I'll do a plywood run. So as you can see, there's going to be a massive expansion of the saltwater portion of the AquariumDomain fish basement. Now, it doesn't mean I'm getting into corals or anything like that. There'll be some easy corals in the lagoon aquarium with the community fish. We know all these guys behind me, the 600 reef slope, or the whole 1,500 gallon system, they're all going into the current Predator Bay. It's going to be a giant tropical lagoon with community fish. There'll be a few little corals in there, but I'm primarily a fish keeper. So I'm going to be opening up the lagoon part of this as another mangrove estuary. So I want to have 2 of those, one in the new system I'm building, one here. The 600 reef slope behind me, it's going to be a marine fish aquarium. The 265 in wall is also going to be a marine fish aquarium. And in the new system, it's going to be part filtration and part display tanks. Now I know it's behind Predator Bay 3000, but you know, for me, doesn't matter. I enjoy it. I go anywhere in the fish basement I want. So I'll be able to enjoy it. I'll certainly be able to film it for you guys. But it's going to have some serious flexibility. It's going to have some zones in it, so to speak. Kind of like how I did the 4,500 gallon. I'm going to create some points where I can, you know, create dividers and things like that if I need to. Maybe for like if I had to raise 4 baby sharks or if I have grow out predator fish. Like there are some groupers that I can keep with my sharks in the new Predator Bay 3000, but they need to get big first, you know. So unfortunately, just the mini Addis grouper and the blue line grouper, they're not that big. You know, they only grow about a foot, maybe 14 inches or so. They're just not huge groupers. But there are some huge groupers and snappers and grunts and things that can live with the sharks and will be awesome in there, as well as other big sharks and rays. There's things I can keep in there, right? Or like eels is a great example. There's some eels that could live with those guys, but there's also eels I like a lot that can't. So I need different scale environments for all these guys, and I need some zones to handle situations, you know, babies, grow outs, infighting, when maybe a fish, like say the bamboo sharks, you know, they're great, they get along great with everybody for 4 or 5 years, and then they, you know, then they don't, right? They get big, they start breeding, they start trying to dominate everything. So those situations happen, and I want my fish base to be more flexible. So these big systems with these sort of estuaries and, you know, areas that aren't dedicated to fish all the time but could have fish in them for periods of time, that's going to be the way to help do that. And it's not just going to be on the saltwater side. I'm going to be doing the same thing for the freshwater side of the house. So for example, where the double DIY builds are, there's area for me to do a similar thing where I can build basically a tank that is most of the time just full supporting plants, bacteria, maybe invertebrates, but it could also hold fish. It'll tie into the same filtration system. Maybe 90% of the time it's just extra filtration. It's just a wetland, estuary area with, like I said, just plants growing out of it, but area for fish too. And I want to add that to certain key freshwater tanks in the fish basement so that I have that same flexibility on the freshwater side. So all of these new things are going to be built in such a way that they're going to be attractive. They'll have glass. They won't be like looked down like ponds or anything like that. They'll have glass fronts and everything. They'll be built a lot like how the 4,500 gallon was built, that sort of thing. So they'll be attractive, but they'll be providing functionality like an estuary or like a wetland, but like with a deeper part of water on top, and they'll be tied into the same filtration systems. Because that's what's key for me to be able to run all these big tanks and so many tanks, is I have to have large wetland, refugium, or sump filtration systems that it's easier to manage a smaller number of larger filtration systems than little filters everywhere. All right, I went a little crazy one night after work. Last I showed you this, we just had the base and the first 3 runs, and now we have the entire thing framed out. And no, it's not its twin over here. I really did just, I just was productive one night. So yeah, cranked out a lot of this. I'm getting the plywood, now that I have all the structure done here, I'll be getting the plywood and getting that framed out. And then of course, just working on the wetlands. I did some tests, and I'm pretty sure I can build it halfway up, do the fiberglass, the fill work, the fiberglass work, and then build it the rest of the way up, and the same thing over here. So the 1,200 gallon builds are cranking, because I guarantee you the next time you see these, all the plywood work will be done. At least half of each of the wetland filters will be done and filled in fiberglass, and man, maybe even get to start fiberglassing the inside of the builds, but they are coming along quickly. Well, if that wasn't enough for you, let's look over here where the Grow Out 315 is. So originally when I built the 315, it was the shape it is because there was the cube aquarium over here that busted a leak, and then this became the temporary Grow Out for these guys, and then they got moved into here. Well, what's going to happen here is all this is getting moved out into the shed. Once these guys are grown out, they're going to get moved to the 4,500 gallon Zinger River, of course, but this tank is going to be dismantled. I'm going to keep the glass, and I have a special project that one special viewer is very much going to be happy about. I'll explain that later. But at any rate, I'm going to tear this down, and I'm going to build an aquarium that utilizes this entire space. So, this is going to be an aquarium that's going to be deep lower, but it's going to be much longer, say like 12 feet or so. And I'm going to build it up. The aquarium won't be as tall, and there'll be a second one underneath it that's going to be one of those freshwater estuaries, but it will be built as an aquarium. So it'll have glass, and most of the time you'll be looking in there and all you'll see is plants and maybe some invertebrates and things like that. There'll be some filtration on the end that'll be sectioned off so to look nice. Then you'll have the display tank on top. So it's going to be another one of those areas that gives me flexibility. And when I need to, I could put a fish down in there and have like a 600-700 gallon estuary for that fish to recover in, grow up in, whatever it might be. So yeah, if I want to add new fish to the 4,500 gallon, well, let's take a look. So we'll poke our head through the annex here, through the window. So yeah, if I want to add fish to the 4,500 gallon, they're always going to have to grow out because those guys are monsters, Or these 1,200 gallon aquariums. Who knows? Some of them could have large predatory fish. I'm always going to need to have these estuary areas for grow outs, for isolation, for recovery, for whatever it might be. So as you can see, there's going to be some serious structural changes to the aquarium and fish basement. Saltwater people, well, you're taken care of. We're gonna have some awesome saltwater tanks going here because I'm gonna have all the infrastructure to do it and do it right. Freshwater guys, we haven't left you behind either. That new system over there that's replacing the 315 is going to be massive. It's going to be I don't know what they're going to be, man. They're going to be, what, 12 feet long, 3 feet front to back, 2 feet high times 2. What does that add up to? That's got to be, that's got to be close to a couple thousand gallons. So one is going to be a full-time tank. The other one's going to be one of the estuary systems. I'm going to add an estuary system onto the double DIY builds in the back room. So that's the 600 Asian jungle, the 750, which again, we're redoing the 750. We got the two 1,200 gallon builds are cranking along, and I'll be back into Predator Bay 3000 full time, especially once I get all the stuff moved out from behind it. So there's literally a ton of stuff going on. But you know what? I'm pretty sure I'm crazy enough to actually do all this. So check back, because it's going to be happening. And some of these things are happening quick. Because up there, those double 1,200 gallon builds and the Predator Bay 3000, they're going to be holding their water a lot sooner than you think, because they are cranking along fast. And no more side quests with having to build other stuff. It's all done. It's full speed ahead on the AquariumDomain Fish Basement. Thanks for watching. See you guys soon.